Good evening, one. Good evening, all, and welcome, welcome to the Toon Review. Tonight is, of course, a transfer show where we'll be looking at, players that have been linked within the media to come to Newcastle United during the winter transfer window, which, of course, opens in a few days' time. Very much excited about that and see who we can actually bring in. Does the injury to Shelvey mean we've got to change tact a little bit and go for somebody else? Or do they have two or three on the radar? We've got a few players to look at tonight that we'll go into more depth with and see what they can, what the stats are like and what they can bring to Newcastle United. But as usual, if you do enjoy tonight's show, please do hit that like button. And of course, if you're new to the channel, like what you see, become a member of the community. Hit the subscribe button. It is free to do so. And also that notification bell, which will let you know when we go live or we upload. And if you wish to donate to the channel, as usual tonight, guys, if you just hit the $ at the bottom of the live comments. We'll go through a few comments first. We've got Tom saying, any news on Enzo Fernandez? He's been linked with us. Listen, Enzo Fernandez would be a colossal signing, Alex, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. The prices being quoted are 120 million euros. And there are rumours that Chelsea have gone even further than that to try and get the signature. So that's double what we paid for Isak. It's just not happening, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. I mean, I've seen some other channels put out, this is how Newcastle United can broker a deal. It's just not happening. These are the kind of players that we will start attracting once we're up there playing regular European football, etc. But not at the minute. Not at the minute. Who is the player on the far right? I don't know who you're talking about there, Lewis.
Probably the thumbnail.
Yeah, well, you'll find out. Jorginho rumours have to be utter crap, says Peter. Peter, why? Why do they have to be utter crap? I mean, if they're going to strengthen their midfield and Jorginho is the man that is going to be left out, then he'll be looking for another club, of course. So, listen, aim big, aim big. Moises Casido looks like a good target. Tom, good evening. He says, Jorginho rumours today. I'm not saying I wouldn't take him, but I'm not sure he is quite fits what we're looking for. Well, we're talking about we're talking about building the squad though here. Remember that. It's not just who can come straight in the first 11 or who we're going to leave out. We've got a lot of players who can come into this squad, and it's all about building a world-class squad at Newcastle, and that's what the owners and that's what Eddie will want. So it's not all about just saying, who we're going to leave out. It's building this squad. Shane says, good morning, gents. Since we're put there signing Aussies, I'd like us to have a look at Melbourne City left-back Jordan Boss, or Bose. The kid has a very big future, and clubs are already circling.
Yeah, I've had a look at him purely because I keep seeing you mentioning his name on Twitter. So I've actively gone and had a look. So I do read people's tweets. I am busy, but if people keep talking about players, I'll be like, I'll go and have a look.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, trolls. Larry, good evening. Stephen says, can't wait for the January window. We've been linked with 700 players up to now, but all the players over 29 linked is purely paper talk clickbait. It doesn't fit the profile of Ashworth and Howe. Well, so far it hasn't, but that's not to say that Newcastle United won't be looking at improving with some experienced players. Maybe they've had a look at all the youngsters coming through now, and they want to turn their attention to a few more experienced. Solo says, evening all. Rogers said today Maddison knee is flared up at the front and likely to be out 3 to 4 weeks. Why would he say this if not true? I would prefer Enzo Fernandez over Maddison.
One's half the price of the other, and they're different positions.
I mean, look, I think Enzo Fernandez, guys, we need to forget about that. It's not going to happen. Not at this stage anyway. Certainly down the line in the future, will we be able to attract players like Enzo Fernandez? Of course, but we need to be in Europe. We need to be up there near the top and on a regular basis for these players to start coming to Newcastle. Stephen says, I hope Leeds are run ragged. They will be knackered after 60 minutes on Saturday. Well, let's hope so. João Felix has been again linked with us, says Tom. João Felix has been linked a few times with Newcastle, Alex.
Yeah, it's a strange one with him because he's, I think, what is it they've said? 75 or 85 is the minimum they're willing to listen to. They're happy to let him go out on loan, but with no option, which is bizarre. It's strange negotiating. It seems to be the player that wants to move, which is fair enough. But there's a lot of players, a lot of clubs, would be very interested in his signature. But this is what I've said in the last couple of windows. If people have been watching for a long time, there's a lot of talent out there. If we miss out on X, Y, Z, it makes no difference. We missed out on Paqueta; it wasn't an issue. Obviously, we can see he's a great player and he would be good in our squad. But yeah, there's plenty more out there. There's a lot of talented players all around the world, so we'll be fine.
I mean, it was an interesting one on the Gakpo deal too. Obviously, he's going to Liverpool, but very interesting that Man United came out and said that they didn't have the budget. Now, if I was a Man United fan, that would ring alarm bells in my ears immediately. And they've actually said that they'll probably look at loaning a striker if they were to go for one.
No, it's nonsense. It's lies. It's pure lies. Romano was on with Mark Goldbridge. They've got links to the club. They're friends with agents. They hear negotiations and offers. They wanted him. They didn't get him. So they're just U-turning. And it's funny. And it looked like they possibly turned a corner in the way they were running the club, although they did throw 3 massive transfer fees at their 3 summer signings. But even so, no, it's nonsense. It's just nonsense. They couldn't get him. There's even this, what's his name? Is it Bettinho? There was a placeholder. So there was a funny thing that happened on the Manchester United website where they had a new player with no picture called Bettinho just randomly in the squad on the website, and it started trending on Twitter, and everybody was like, "Who's this guy?" And apparently he exists. So he's some lower league guy was it Portugal or somewhere? But he doesn't play for Manchester United.
Wow.
I don't know what they're doing. But they're in pieces at the moment, despite the win
right now.
The club still run poorly behind the scenes.
It's an absolute mess. Stephen says, let's hijack the Mudryk deal. Arsenal can't afford him. Well, that's still to be shown. Charles says, Jorginho is 31. He would not be good for our project, but that's just in my opinion. Well, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? I mean, look, there's reasons he's linked, but is he still good enough to play for Newcastle United? That's the thing. We'll see very shortly. When we go through the players. Chipper says, I don't get why we would want a 31-year-old with no sell-on value. It's a non-starter for me. Solo says, Felix on loan and buy Enzo Fernandez. Yeah, easy said than done. Larry says, can't see it happening either, but ability-wise, I think he could still do it in the short term. I'd prefer 25 and under in all fairness. Majestic, good evening to you. Cockeyed Cyclops says afternoon from SLC. Wes, good evening. Lewis, good evening. Phil, good evening. Ian, good evening. Yuri Tielemans from Leicester says Tom. I'm not sure that he. I don't think he commands the amount of clubs that were looking at him. Let's say just a year ago, Alex. I think his form's dipped. He hasn't looked like the player that. When he first went to Leicester that he was, has he? He's kind of dipped off a little bit.
I'm really 50-50 about him. Really 50-50. Because he'll have a period of half an hour where his technical ability and prowess are just all on show, and he's pinging passes about, he's having shots, and he looks like an elite player. And then he'll have half an hour where he won't challenge for the ball. He's out of position. He won't move. He won't talk. And he's just useless. And it's a weird it's strange. And there's a reason why Leicester fans were really angry with him at the end of last year. I remember when he played against us in that 2-1 victory, he was shocking. He was awful. Is it symptomatic of Leicester and the manager and Rodgers? Maybe he wouldn't do that in our team, but you never know. I don't know. I'd rather just go for somebody that just doesn't do that, and then we'd be safe.
Absolutely. Keith, good evening to you. Geordie lad, hope you're well. Up the A1 this evening, all not wanting Man City to win, but hope they run Leeds ragged. So heavy legged for us on Saturday. I don't think it'll matter whether they're heavy legged or not. The way we're playing at the minute, I think we've got to be confident going into the game anyway. Stu, good evening to you. Ian, good evening. Rachel, the usual rules, please, everybody. Matt, good morning from Australia out there. G'day. Julie J, good evening. Leslie, good evening to you. How are the lads? Maggot Drowner says, love to see us get Christian Alsani from Empoli, currently on loan at Inter. Surely we can grab him. Class alongside Bruno. Is he a name that has alerted you in the past, Alex?
He's not on the list. It's a fair shout.
I don't think he's been linked with us, though, has he? Because
no, I've not. I can't remember him being linked.
Yeah, because we're only really looking at players that have been linked.
Empoli this season, but I've heard of him purely through football games. I've not. I can't remember having. I might have seen him play. If he's on loan from Inter, I might have seen him. Yeah. I can't remember it.
Stu says, are we going to trigger Enzo Fernandez release clause?
No. No.
Julie's right. It looks like Chelsea are going to sign Enzo Fernandez. They have already, I believe, started negotiations to get and pay the release clause. So, look, just let's move on. Tom says Chelsea signing him on the never, never, though. They don't have the funds that they used to. They're still very rich, though. How are Chelsea buying all these players with so-called FFP?
The revenue is outrageous.
And
if they want to, they could turn around and they could sell 2-3 players they could get good money back for Pulisic, for one of their midfielders. They could recoup money like that, like really quickly. We can't. Who are we going to sell? We're going to sell Fraser,
Richie,
and Lascelles, and Richie. Yeah. We're not going to get any transfer value. For
exactly.
That. Chelsea can very.
And
quickly,
I think that's the way that people have to understand how the FFP works. It's not just player wise. It's the fact that what revenue the club has and they bring in. The minute, they are still massively well supported. They bring in massive revenue because obviously they are massive around the world because of the players that they've had and still have in their squad. We will be like that at one stage. I have no doubt about that. But it takes time to build that empire up. Jason Selleck, good evening to you. Wes says to Tripp's left side and either a striker or number 10, such as Maddison. I take it he means a backup to Trippier. Wes says, in my opinion, we require some depth to the squad, maybe at most 4 quality additions, a priority, a CDM to push Bruno further up, cover for the injury to Shelvey, young progressive right back as an understudy. Well, we are led to believe that Harrison Ashby, Alex, is pretty much done, judging by what we've heard from the West Ham side of it.
Yeah, it would seem like there have been, even beyond him, there have been a few right backs we've been linked with. All of the links, apart from the silly ones that we're linked with purely just because of the name and the money, a lot of the links are very plausible. It'll be, a left back, a right back. We've got right-footed left forwards, CDMs and stuff. Everything that we're kind of looking at or might need. All of them are quite plausible. The right age ranges, ticking all the boxes. Most of them are probably wrong, but there'll be a couple in there that are correct that we'll probably go for. It's just, it's for us to try and figure out which ones are correct. That's why we look at everyone, just in case.
Indeed. Nash9 says, never liked Jorginho, overrated. Wes says, Kone, Ashby, Maddison, and Thuram. That'll do. Well, that wouldn't be a bad January if that comes off, Wes. In fact, it'd be a cracking January if that comes off. Keith says, Alex, smile if you think Newcastle can win the Premier League.
I think we can. Of course we can. Definitely we can. It's just not very likely.
Yeah. But future years, maybe. Todd, good evening, good afternoon, or whatever it is over in the state. Haven't seen you for a while, Todd. I hope you're well, my friend. Chelsea will get Enzo. Well, is it Endo or Enzo? It's Enzo, isn't it?
It's Enzo.
Yeah. Stu says, well done, our very own Chris Dobie at the darts today, breezing past Gary Anderson 4-1 into the quarterfinals. Indeed. Yes, he is. He's absolutely flying. Night of Need Gaming says, do you think we'll make many signings? I don't know about many. But, judging by the previous windows that we've had under the new regime, Alex, it's not just chucking money at anybody, is it? They target a player, and they will target that player as long as they can, within reason. And then if they don't get him, they'll go and change tact and look at somebody else.
Yeah, I think there's a different reason why there might be many signings. This might not come to pass, but it may do. In that it's very possible we're looking at shifting a couple of players at least, potentially Fraser and Richie, and maybe some of the lads coming back off loan. Obviously, we heard that Matty Longstaff got injured. He is coming back at the start of January, so that was a shame. So if we get rid of a couple, we're going to need, that would imply we're going to try and replace them somehow. Plus adding players to the squad as well, just through quality. And then it's been a long time since January that we've been linked with all of these South American wonder kids. We got Garan Qual, so we know there's a history for us going and trying to sign these really young superstars. So I reckon one of these links to one of these South American kids has got to be true at some point. And we've got to, I think we lost out Andre Santos. Unfortunately, it looks like Chelsea have got him as well, which is a shame because he's phenomenal. So yeah,
Chelsea's certainly making some moves, aren't they? They are deciding now that they're going to start making some moves for some quality players.
Well, look at the teams around us. Man United throwing money, Liverpool throwing money at it to try and stay relevant. Chelsea trying to solidify their future. They know that there's now an additional seat at the table, and they've got to fight a bit harder to get served. Otherwise, they're
Absolutely. Larry says, do you guys really think 100+ million for Enzo Fernandez is really worth it? Look, he was young player of the World Cup, wasn't he? So, I mean, he is a very talented player, a very good player. And to be honest, this is what the going rate is now. If you've got a talented player like that, who was young player of the World Cup, straight after, of course, the World Cup, I would say that the values are going to be heightened because of the World Cup. So, but he already had a 120 million release clause anyway before the World Cup. So, we'll see. Geordie Lad says, I think before getting players, we need rid of our deadwood like Richie. Well, he is rumoured to be going. I mean, Billy's convinced that he came on at Leicester as a swan song, as a goodbye, as Billy kept saying. So interesting. Wes says, I'd rather have Bellingham for an extra 20 million. 19 years old, and he'll recoup that fee over time. Even on a 6-year deal, he'd still be only 25-year-old. We
can't afford it. We really just can't afford that. What if we're paying 140 million for Bellingham? What salary is he going to demand?
Yeah.
He's going to be demanding triple, if not quadruple, what our highest earners on. And the club are seemingly unwilling to break that structure at the moment. They're probably going to break it with contract renewals, like trying to give Bruno a boost to make him happy. I doubt they're just going to sign. Even Isak was on a fair salary.
Yeah. So
it's
you've got to be realistic about these things, I guess, and say, look, these players. Again, like the Fernandes and Bellinghams of this world, are these type of players that we will probably be able to go for and attract when we're playing regular Champions League football, when we're chasing trophies, every single season. And that's what you have to... Yes, we can get some very good players in now, no doubt about that, but the next caliber of players will come when we're
I don't even think it's about that. I think it's just about us having the revenue. We just don't have that yet.
Not yet,
We just don't have the revenue that the other clubs have got.
Beats says, João Felix, 8 million fee for half a season, an additional 10 to 13 is wages, not the type of deal we will do. Spudsy says, Maddison, Tielemans, and Felix on loan, perfect window. I want to see ASM, Isak, Madders, and Miggy in the same team. Indeed. Bettinio says, Jake, is that Ivan Toney? Oh, dear. Oh, cheap dig. Good evening, Paul. Good evening, Jim. Larry says Jorginho can definitely still play and perform at the level we need. For how long, though? We don't know. People think 31 is 40 in football. I mean, 31, it's not an old age, Alex. Not these days with the nutritionists and people like that. You can play a lot longer than 31 now.
Yeah, especially the position he would need to be playing in, which would be a 6. or in a double pivot is. I mean, we'll talk about it when we talk about him. But when everybody's quoting age, the whole point in age, when we were talking about bringing the average age down of the squad, was all of our strikers were too old. We needed a young striker. We did that. Cool. All of our defenders were too old. Let's bring in Botman. Let's bring in some younger younger defenders. Is our midfield old? No, not at all. Bruno's 25. Joe Linton's 25. Longstaff's 25. Willock's 22, 23.
Yep.
Shelvey's not really in the picture at the moment. There's nothing
Shelvey's
wrong with the age profile of our midfield.
Yeah.
Is there an issue with slotting a 31-year-old? He's literally 31 like a week ago as well. So he's only just 31.
You've got to think,
really
though,
an issue?
Experience is vital at times, Alex. And the experience that, Jorginho has is huge. He's won a lot in the game. He's been around the game a long time. And he has that big game mentality, which, let's be honest. I mean, Bruno, as good as he is, he hasn't, he's not a regular in the Brazil side yet. He hasn't played in Champions League finals and things like that, as good as he is. But Jorginho has.
I mean, Jorginho's won the Euros.
Yeah. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? I mean, he's right up there. Bob says, good evening, guys. Great show as always. Any news on potential outgoings? Look, I think with Newcastle United at the moment, I think outgoings is going to be, it's going to be a case of we'll hear about it as it happens. If somebody's leaving the club, Newcastle will announce it as he's leaving. I have a feeling that's how it's going to go. I think there will be interest in, Richie will get interest from EFL clubs. There's no doubt about that. He's still good enough for the EFL. Chris Wood is rumoured still. The Leeds United rumours are still kicking around. Whether Eddie Howe will let him go, given Wilson and Isak's injury record, only time will tell on that as well, or whether he brings somebody else in to cover that position. We've got a lot of players who are ready to leave the club, I think, but it's who will take them, it's who will pay their wages. There's a lot of factors in players going out, Alex, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, contract lengths as well. I think Richie's contract expires in the summer, so I think Fraser's got a little bit longer left than that. So a lot of it is also down to contract lengths and whether we can shift them. And players like Murphy is probably not, because he's contracted until 2027 and has been useful, more useful than Richie and Fraser have, at least this season anyway. I know Fraser had a period of contributing to the team last year, but it's not last year anymore. So last season.
Beats says Badashile looks like he's off to Chelsea as well. Well, Chelsea are signing some players. They are getting the checkbook out. Let Enzo go to Chelsea and finish 5th every year. Jordy Ladd says, if we're going to get top 4, we need some high quality players. And like I said before, get rid of some of our dead wood. Paul with the local weather forecast. Apparently bad weather's coming in the next few days. Thanks for that, Paul. Jacket says, evening team. It gets better and better. How are the lads and lasses? Spike, good evening. Hope everyone's good. Got my phone cover today. Straight on. That's good news, Spike. I'm glad it's finally arrived. Enzo is overrated. He had a good World Cup. He's inky? Worth 40 million, in my opinion. Ridiculous, 120. But that's his, obviously that's his release clause. Now, whether you think he's worth that or not, obviously his current club do. And that's why they've put that in. So it's interesting. Larry says, why does everyone think Bruno needs to push up? His best position is number 6 as the playmaker in our system, don't you think?
There's been a few good threads about this from Sanjay and Kev on Twitter about just about his link-up play and his movement. Yes, he's an exceptional 6, but the Miggy's goal doesn't happen without Bruno being in a forward position. And the reason we can have Bruno in a forward position is because we play this lopsided system with Burn standing in, Trippier. If we want to progress to a normal balanced formation where both of our fullbacks can press and can push up, we kind of need a bit more structure. So if we have a natural 6 with a bit more physicality, and then Bruno can play higher up, that 6 can then do the wide defensive cover. We could have an attacking left back. We can have an extra body forward, and have an even more frightening attack in theory. It's just about the reason we're doing this is because it works with the personnel we've got available. That's why we're using it, and it's seemingly working better than when we were using Target, which is why he's not playing. Yeah.
26 minutes gone currently at Elland Road, and it is Leeds United 0, Manchester City 0 still at Elland Road. So we'll keep you posted on that one. Marcus Thuram to Newcastle would be a steal at a low fee. Beats says Goldbridge was forming when Liverpool nicked Gakpo off Manu. Priceless. Yeah, I saw that. He wasn't happy at all. Simon says maybe we could get Santos on loan from Chelsea. That's what they tend to do when they buy the youngsters. I don't think I don't think Chelsea would loan else's
players.
Yeah, but they wouldn't loan him to us either. I mean, we are a rival right now, so there's no way that would happen.
He'd fall in love with the club too much because of all of our Brazilians.
Yeah. Somebody on Facebook, sorry, I don't have a name, but my opinion is Declan Rice, Maddison, and another striker would get us the Premier League this year. Paul Gallant says it's going to be an awesome 2023 for the Toon. Well, I hope you're right. And for this channel. Evening, Paul and Alex says, Daniil, evening chat. There's 105 million release clause from Enzo Fernandez. Not right now. Absolutely. Bruno is rumoured to get 200k a week at Newcastle.
No, he's not.
I didn't. We aren't paying anybody that kind of money at the moment.
That's the rumoured point we might go up to with this new contract. If that exists, we think it does.
Up there, one says, just hoping someone managed to talk to the chatter who wrote that weird comment. Yes, we've been in contact. Everything's fine. Don't worry. We've reached out and we have had communication. Daniil says, do you guys think we will attract a Bruno G type signing this window? It depends what you mean by a Bruno G type signing. I mean, do we need another Bruno? Probably not.
You can never have enough Brunos, to be fair.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're not going to get another Bruno. Every player is different in their own way, isn't it? I mean, Bruno is Bruno. But I see what you mean. I mean, yes, I mean, I would love to see. Everybody knows my opinion on Maddison. I really want to see Maddison at Newcastle. I think he'd be a fantastic signing. I really do. But again, time will tell on that one. Right. First player up on the board tonight is Kai Wagner. And I said right.
No Jorginho yet. I'm going to tease you. We're going to start with this guy.
Can you just confirm his name, Alex?
I mean, he's German, so yeah, Kai Wagner. Right? You're right.
It's Wagner. It's definitely Wagner.
Indeed.
Anyway,
so this is a weird one. I don't really know where this has come from. Well, I do, but I don't understand it. It's a really odd one. The only reasoning I can think behind this is stuff to do with Richie and stuff. So he's a left back who plays in America, Philadelphia Union, in the MLS. He is, not that far off 26 years old, so he's not a spring chicken by any means. Started in Germany and moved to the MLS a few years ago. He's sort of peak age right now. 3,000 minutes in the MLS this year with 8 assists is really, really tidy from just under, he's performing as he should. He was meant to get 8 and he got 8. Contract expires the 31st of December. So this is what makes me think that there might be something to it. Wages would be reasonable and he could do a job, but it does make me think, well, what about Matt Target and Jamal Lewis? What are we doing with them then? If there's any truth in this, it confuses me, but it's a peak age player who's been playing a lot of regular football at a reasonable level. He would be free. Shouldn't be too many visa issues. He's not from outside of Europe. I know Brexit happened, but still, it's a lot easier to get somebody in from Germany that is from, South America or something.
Yeah.
And if we scroll down and have a look at his stats, so this is not comparing him to European competitions. I'm not quite sure exactly what it's comparing to. I need to go and dig and have a look at what this means. So player compared to positional peers in men's next 8 competitions. So whatever next 8, I don't know exactly what that means. But it's comparing him to his peers in a large sample size, which can't be bad. So as a left back, he's a lot of shot creating actions, which is really good. So he's providing a lot for his team, presumably quite high up the pitch. These sorts of stats wouldn't suggest that, though. And yeah, I've never seen this guy play. Plays in the MLS. I do not watch the MLS at all. I don't recognize really anyone apart from some of the championship lads from this similarities list either. So it's a funny one. If we've got any Americans in the chat, have you seen this guy? Because I'm pretty sure he's won an MLS title as well. If I scroll down, Philadelphia, there we go. So in 2020, they got a first place and he made 14 appearances. So, 3 goals, 4 assists last year, 8 assists this year. He seems competent.
I think it's the fact he would be free, though, Alex. I mean, we're not really
and free.
It's a no risk, is it? If he's free, I mean, he'll not command a massive wage either, will he? So we're not really taking a massive risk if it is indeed a free transfer.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I didn't work out what the wages were. What's $500,000 per annum? And it's not going to be very much. We wouldn't have to offer him very much in salary. I wouldn't imagine he would probably, a player like this would jump at the chance to play in the Premier League. He'd take what you'd offer him. I would imagine anyway. 5 million current market value would be free. He only signed 2019, so not the most exciting player on the transfer list, but nonetheless, he's here. So,
would you like to pronounce his place of birth, Alex?
I as soon as I had this up earlier, I knew you were going to try and make me do that. I haven't the foggiest. You can have a go.
Geislingen and de Stieg. That's what I reckon. Geislingen and de Stieg. Stieg. I don't know.
Sounds like the Stieg.
The Stieg, yes. Well, for me, I mean, looking at his stats, he looks an okay player. Now, whether or not he's a Premier League player or not, I'm sure. Look, the scouting, we will, if we're going to go for him, we will have scouted him. So they will have sent somebody to look. And, whether Eddie Howe's seen him or whether Ashworth's seen him or anybody else, we don't know. What is interesting is if he does come in, obviously his contract runs out the end of this month. He is a free. It would be a no-risk deal. So if it didn't work out, then we really haven't lost anything major by bringing him in.
It's just we are a bit bloated in that position because it does seem like Byrne and Target are the two nailed on. You are going to play fullback on the left this year. So that leaves the likes of Manquillo and Jamal Lewis kind of like, what are they going to be doing?
Manquillo obviously is right back to Kieran Trippier at the moment as things stand. But it's not happened for Jamal Lewis, and I know Eddie Howe said at the back end of last season he was going to give him an opportunity to see what he could do. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked. It really hasn't, and I just don't think there's an opportunity for him at this club anymore. So going out on loan or somebody picking him up, it depends, of course, on his wages. But if not, then I would assume he'll go out on loan. It just hasn't worked full stop for him. And it's a shame because when he signed, everybody was raving what a good sign he was because, he was young, he was hungry, he'd done very well at Norwich, but it just hasn't happened. Coming up to 34 minutes gone at Elland Road, it is still goalless between Leeds and Manchester City. Brian says, tried to put chat on early, must have been long, whatever. Keith says, all well and good, Chelsea buying all these new players, but they must surely affect their spirit, which is our biggest asset. I mean that's always a risk, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, that is what Eddie Howe will be mainly focused on again during this window, Alex, is bringing players in that he knows isn't going to upset the apple cart in the dressing room. Yeah,
I mean, Pulisic was whinging, and I mean, rightly so. He wants to play football. It's fair enough. Rudiger was a bit of an issue. He was playing well, but he was constantly whinging and constant contract disputes. There's been a lot of it at Chelsea, and there's a lot of it at many of these clubs. And I think we need to just be careful of that because a lot of our results is based on our mentality and togetherness and the positive feelings. I know that sounds a bit lovey-dovey, but it's kind of true. All the lads believing in each other, trusting each other with the passes, with the press, with the options. It really makes a difference on the pitch. So we don't want one or two coming in and creating divides and annoying people.
Absolutely.
And that, which is why Eddie Howe specifically quoted that we need to bring in the right characters.
Yeah. Athar says, over the past several years, they have rooted for the lower teams to lose, as it would give us respite at the bottom. Now in Dreamland, we want City to lose and Leeds to win. And we want the top teams to lose. I know it's crazy how it's turned around in such a short space of time. James Brown, who lives in America, trade Wood for Harrison. I mean, that would be interesting, Alex. If Leeds did come in for Wood, would we say, well, let's make it part of a Harrison deal?
Yeah, part of a deal, but a straight out swap. I'm not sure. What were they quoting? What were they quoting his price last?
There's no way to swap
35. Yeah. It'd have to be a player plus cash plus player deal.
Absolutely. What about Arambat from Morocco? Says Daniil. Good player, but we haven't been linked with him. Bruno prefers playing further up front, straight from the horse's mouth. Tom says, could we go for Jude Bellingham? He would be a great addition. It's not happening. Moises Caicedo and Yuri Tielemans. So Alfonso Lacadio is saying.
Is he saying we're in for Caicedo now as well? Oh, okay.
Apparently, yeah. Interesting. I mean, we're going to be in for a lot of people in a few days' time. That's just the way it is. Jack Harrison is a mid-table player. Don't get the fuss over him. I'm not too sure about that. I think he's a very good player, actually.
Chinglish as well while you're there. Yeah, I don't use Instagram. I don't know if you've got anything else, but I'm trying to get in contact with him. So,
with who?
Chinglish Reactions.
All right. Chinglish, if you could let us know how to get in contact with you. Alex would like a discussion. I'm not sure what about, but...
it's about Mandarin and stuff, so...
All right, so if you can drop me an email to the Toon Review. The email address is right at the bottom of the description of this show. And then if you can get us some contact details, and I'll pass them on to Alex for you. So Alex can get in touch. Simon says it's 145k a week for Bruno. That would be more realistic at the moment. I would definitely
that's not
say.
Confirmed, but yeah, that's the... Some have said the maximum is all 100. Some have said 125, and some have said 145. So yeah, possibly, but there's quite a few numbers been thrown out.
VZ says hello from Lincoln, Nebraska. Hello. Around the world we go again. Zeit says I want Lascelles out of Newcastle. Seems Maddison injury is genuine. Scans etc. Well, there's no proof of the scans. The club have just said he's gone for scans, but. Look, if he has, he has. Daniil says, well done on the pronunciation, Paul. Thank you. Seemingly Maddison injury needs treatment and time. Can't see us buying him if that's the case. I can. Look, there's no way. If there's a chance of getting him, there's no way we're going to just leave it because he's got a niggle or something like that. He's going to be out a couple of weeks. We will want him because, there's other clubs going to come in for him as well. Let's be honest. Abs says, hopefully the Maddison bullshit talk will stop now. One can dream. Hey, come on, Abs, a bit more positivity, man. Come on. Brian says the media should acknowledge Miggy's goal, a proper team goal. 12 players involved, Burnt to Botman, to Pope, Wood, to Willock, to J7, Burn, Bruno, Trips, Miggy, Bruno, and finally Miggy to score. Very well put in a one comment, Brian. Very well done. There's a lot of talk about Jack Grealish leaving Man City. Would we take him, says Julie?
That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Them playing in the same team, Miggy and Grealish.
Well, they're not going to get the same money that they paid for him. Nobody is going to pay 100 million for Jack Grealish at the moment, as it stands. So they would have to take a hit on that, which I guess isn't.
Well, the wages would be prohibitive as well.
Well, they'd be absolutely extortionate, won't they? So yeah. Rachel says the Maddison injury could just be a ploy to stop the Leicester supporters kicking off like they have been about him not playing. Love a conspiracy theory. There's a lot of those goes around during transfer windows, Rich. No doubt about it. Right, Alex, Jorginho, let's have it.
Yeah, the big one. So, I am in favour of this transfer, and before you crucify me, I'll explain why it works. I've already outlined it a little bit in that our midfield age profile is absolutely fine at the moment. I think having one more experienced head in there, it's not a bad thing necessarily. And it's not like he's 40, as somebody said. He is 31, literally 31 and a week old. So he could still give us minimum 3 good years, especially in the position he would be playing in. It would release Bruno. It would allow us far more quality in midfield as well. Other reasons why this makes sense. He speaks Brazilian. He's born in Brazil. He's not Italian. He left Brazil when he was 15 years old and went to, I think he played for Verona and then moved to different clubs. So he is Brazilian and he speaks Brazilian Portuguese. And he's been helping. He helped Thiago Silva settle into Chelsea when he first moved. So he would get on fine with Joelinton and presumably Bruno, I would imagine. Wages seems to be around our neck of the woods with what we're paying our top players, 110,000 a week. Again, contract expires in the summer. So theoretically, we could get him for a reasonable transfer fee and a reasonable signing on bonus and keep him at moderate wages that would not upset the apple cart. So those are some additional things to consider that a lot of people don't seem to realize. He's not just Italian. He can speak the same language as Bruno and Joelinton. The wages make sense. The contract makes sense. And he's not super old. He's still performing at a high level. This season alone, 900 minutes for Chelsea with 2 goals, 400 minutes in the Champions League with a goal. And if we scroll down, some quite tidy statistics there for exactly what we would want from if we want to release Bruno and if we want to play a slightly different brand of football. Tackles and interceptions is there, as we know he can do. And all the passes, progressive passes, 5.40 per 90. Pass completion rate is through the roof. He's attempting a huge amount of passes per game. I've also got some other ones written down here as well. His passes into the final third is also in the top 6%. And this compared to the other guy, what was his name? Kai Wagner. This is in comparison to the big 5 leagues and Champions League. So this is against the top players. So these are, the elite numbers. So passes into the final third are in the top 6%, as well as passes into the penalty area as well. He's in the top 20% for that. And if you look at his who he's compared to here, you've got Busquets on the list. You've got Thiago from Liverpool. You've got Matic at Roma
as well, Argentinian.
Yeah,
wow.
Paredes. And if we go and have a look at it, it's opened up the full scouting profile. We don't need that. Let's go all the way down. I don't know where is. Give me the standard overview. I want to see his career. There's his career. There we go. Yeah, so I was right. It was Hellas Verona he started at. So he moved there when he was very young, like 15 odd years old, playing in the youth teams. Obviously, came to England with Sarri to Chelsea from Napoli when Napoli narrowly missed out on winning the title. And then has been at Chelsea ever since. Hasn't won a title for a club. It's always been seconds and thirds generally. But he did obviously win the Euros with Italy. But plays a lot of minutes at club level. Obviously, Chelsea in the last few seasons have had a lot of midfielders. A lot, they've got Kante as well and Kovacic that all can play in similar positions. Yeah, and he's still never had fewer than 2,000 minutes in a season, and it looks like he'll have more than that this year with 1,000 already. So, I am pretty in favour of this transfer, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but you guys have already said something, but maybe what I've said has possibly changed your mind or given you something extra to think about. But I think the contract that he's got, the wages, and the language that he speaks, factored into everything, I think makes sense. And when you think that we're not desperate to bring down the age of the midfield, it's not that bad. They're all young, peak age. So bringing in one cool head for 3 years, I don't think it'd be a negative. Personally, I like this. It just depends on how much it would cost to get this done. But this ties into...
I don't think he'd command a massive wage, especially with his contract's running out. Well,
here's the thing. The final piece of the puzzle, Enzo Fernandez. If he goes to Chelsea, they might release a midfielder. This could be this could make that happen. I know it's a lot there. It's a bit of mental gymnastics, but it kind of makes sense. If they bring in somebody like Enzo Fernandez, they will most likely let a midfielder go. You would imagine.
And it brings a hell of a lot of experience into the Newcastle squad. So it's not all about youngsters constantly. You've got to think of youngsters as well, how much the youngsters will thrive playing with somebody like Jorginho, who has massive experience of. Yeah, he hasn't won a title at club level, but he's done it at club level. He's done it at international level. For me, I agree with you. I think it would be a great signing. Francisco says, hello, boys. Good evening to you, the mods and chat. Now that Chelsea are buying all these players, how about going back for Gallagher? It's going to be a mad and fun month for the window. It's been very quiet on Conor Gallagher, though, for not just Newcastle, but any talk of him leaving Chelsea has gone very stale.
I mean, I think Willock is our Gallagher at the moment. I think that's our version of that. The guy who picks up the ball and wants to try and drive and progress the ball with his feet through being dribbly and strong. I think we've got our version of that. I mean, Gallagher's brilliant, but I think there's more pressing issues to fix, like a Trippier understudy just in case, or maybe an extra winger or midfielder.
Yeah, exactly. Julie J says Jorginho a no. She's not keen on him. Craig, I assume is wanting Jorginho. Vincent just says we're winning the league. Williams,
no, he doesn't want him because he put Jorginho no.
Oh,
that's what he put.
Oh yes, I see. Jorginho, no chance. Newcastle will not buy him. We will go for players under 27.
But that not always.
You can have the odd few that are older. Yeah, I mean, you can have the odd couple. Is there any championship players that we are looking at? Says Tom. Not that I've heard of. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, you never know with Newcastle. There could be one in the pipeline, and just all of a sudden is signing for Newcastle, but who knows? Ab says, can't believe Newcastle fans would turn down Jorginho. Maybe a few losses will install some humility. I'm a little confused at how many people are saying no. Jorginho tried to get our players booked when we played them. That's not really a reason.
So does Maddison. Yeah. Madison's done that for a long time, and everybody's jumped on that bandwagon. So. Yes,
but so does Miggy. So does ASM. Come on, all footballers do it. Toon Barmy says Jorginho overrated, in my opinion. Geordie Lad says knowing Jorginho will want more. He won't want what he's getting at Chelsea or a pay cut. He would be something like 135 to 150.
Well, that's fine. We just go elsewhere then. As we've said earlier, there's plenty of fish in the sea. If he wants to come on our terms and be part of the project and help us, great. Yeah. If he wants to take the mick, bye. We'll do it another way. That's fine.
Absolutely. Half time at Elland Road. It is Leeds United 0, Manchester City 1. Rodri scoring a minute into injury time at the end of the first half. So half time at Elland Road, Man City currently 1-0 up and replacing us back in second place. But there is 45 minutes to go. But Man City have had 74% possession in the first half. It's going to be an uphill struggle for Leeds, but we'll see. Solo says, would Jorginho have the fitness as running our team has as a midfielder? Well, maybe. You don't know what sort of job that Eddie Howe would ask him to do. Ada says, where are you getting your info from? Because you're way out. Ridiculous. Well, it's not. Alex, your mic's off, mate.
I mean, I don't know what he's referring to. The ages of the midfielders. I mean, they're correct. They're all 25-ish, except Willock is 20,
younger,
23.
Yeah, I don't know what it means. Information on players. Look, we've said a million times when we do these transfer shows, right? We don't know who Newcastle are 100% interested in.
As for the website, FBref, can I just say that Opta purchased this, and Opta are the go-to, statistical platform for everybody. So I trust Opta more than I trust random Twitter freelance journalists, in my opinion.
Yep, exactly. But we've said a million times over that these transfer shows that we do on this channel are basically players linked with us in the media, not necessarily coming. We're not in the know. We don't know who's coming to Newcastle 100% until they actually sign. And then we'll do shows based on that player. But at the moment, we go and look at players that have been linked. Alex does the work backstage to go and have a look and do the stats on them and see what they would bring should they sign for Newcastle United. We're not saying they will in a million years. This is just about who's been linked and what they would bring to Newcastle looking at their stats. So please understand what these transfer shows are about. We don't come on here and say, oh, this guy's signing, this guy's signing. It's bollocks, right? Nobody knows that until the club announces signing. Simple as that. So that is how these transfer shows will always be on the Toon Review. We will just talk about players that are linked, and then when they sign, should they sign, we'll talk more in depth about that individual player. Okay? Grealish missing again, says Stephen. Retro says, I'm all for Jorginho signing. Fits the profile we need. Stephen says that Jorginho won't fit our intensity. Youngsters can't handle all the pressure. You need a balance of experience as well. And I 110% agree with what Larry's saying there, Alex. You need that little bit of balance.
Yeah. No, I agree. And as for the intensity questions, I mean, they've since Opta's taken over FBref, we don't have pressures and work rate statistics anymore, unfortunately. A lot of that is all very hush-hush. You know, you've got things like StatsBomb, and you've got a lot of software which is paid. It's paid software, and a lot of this is becoming increasingly more difficult to get sort of all of these stats because it's very behind closed doors and hush hush within the clubs, because they will share data on all the scouting and things like that. So the clubs will be able to go and have a look specifically at, can Jorginho do the required system? They will go and look at recovery runs, the speed of the recovery runs, how many he does in a game, how many he can do, his injuries, his hamstrings, his calves. They will be able to look at all of that and make the assessment whether they think he could fit the intensity or whether they could train him up even more. It's impossible for us to say. Do we think he could maybe improve his fitness a bit and play our system? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a coach.
Foxy says Jorginho wouldn't be my first choice, but at a cut price deal, it's a no-brainer. Big game experience, a leader, and a winner. Then Toon Barmy says Jorginho has a habit of vanishing in plain sight in games. Labouring sort of player we can't afford to carry. Enzo is good, says God, but not 100 million good. I don't think so. GL at Chelsea, good luck to Chelsea if they sign him. James says, don't watch much MLS. I can't say on Wagner. Sorry, Alex. Isla Coffee says, our January fixtures look quite packed. The 3rd, Arsenal away. 7th, of course, Sheffield Wednesday away in the FA Cup. And then the 10th, Leicester in the Carabao. Yeah, it's exciting times, but that's what we want now. We want to be involved in all these competitions.
Oh, if only we had another midfielder.
Yeah, I know. It's madness, really. I mean, look, people need to realize that this is where the club wants to be. This is where the fans want to be. We don't want to be knocked out early doors in competitions. We want to be in the latter stages, and that's what we have. Certainly the Carabao. Hopefully, we'll have a good run in the FA Cup as well. Sheffield Wednesday will be a stern test, but let's be honest, they're a League One side, and we don't want the same to happen as happened against Cambridge, which I'm sure it won't, because we're just a different animal to that. But there you go. The Ultimate Outlaw says, nah, Jorginho only good for penalties. Need more defensive strength like Rice or someone like that.
That is a terrible take. You take that back right now. Rice is not a better DM than Jorginho. Rice is no, I'm not having that. I'm sorry. That's the worst call of the evening. That's terrible.
Craig Lee says, Ashby is coming in as Trippier's understudy. I'd go for Kefran Turam as the DM, and he's been linked recently.
Yeah, Kefran. We've not actually reviewed him. We've only reviewed the other one.
Yep. Steven says, how much is Maddison genuine? And how much is it fan hype, like with Paqueta? No, listen, Stephen, we've made 2 official bids for Maddison. We never bid for Paqueta. Let's not forget that.
Well, we know of.
Well, that we know of. But I mean, there would have been somebody come out and said, we bid, it didn't work, and it didn't happen. But this, everybody knows that we've bid for Maddison in the past, and that's not going to change. So I would say it's pretty genuine, to be honest. John says Rice would be class.
He would be class, but he's not a DM.
Rather keep the powder dry and try for Rice in the summer.
Can I just say, cast your minds back to the World Cup, to Rice playing as a 6, and compare that to how Bruno plays as a 6. Rice is not a 6. He's an 8. Rice would play where Longstaff's currently playing, 100, and he would be better than Longstaff at that role. He's technical. He can, but Bruno is a far better 6 than, and Jorginho and Kovacic could all play 6 better than Rice, in my opinion. Rice was static, was always marked, not available to take the ball, couldn't roll and progress it at all. He really struggled as a 6 for England, and that's why they don't play that system at West Ham. He plays with Souček babysitting him in the air. They play with a double pivot for that exact reason. Well, among other things, other reasons, but anyway, I'm digressing now.
Baz Lang says Jorginho not for me. Don't like his attitude. I'm not sure how you know what his attitude is, to be honest, but interesting. Only 23 as well. Rumours are he's not discussing a new contract with West Ham. Of course, he's talking about Declan Rice. Would Chelsea want to help out a rival for top 4 and selling to us? Well, look, I mean, money talks at the end of the day, and if they're going to get a good offer for Jorginho, rather than lose him for nothing in the summer, I'm sure they would take that option. So, yeah, they would sell. Metro Brown is back. If we are not bothered about age, how about a cheeky offer for Edgar Davids? He's a free at Jesus Christ.
We're not saying give him a 10-year contract, man. We're saying give him a 3-year contract and let him help.
Yep. Right. The final one we are looking at tonight is Matheus. Go on, you finish that name off because I'll get it wrong.
I haven't actually checked how to say this. I can't remember how to say the squiggly C in Portuguese in Brazil. It's like a S sound, isn't it? So Matheus França, I think, is how they would say it.
Well, França.
For any Brazilians in the chat, if we've got any, correct me if I'm wrong. So this is my favorite pick. This is the new hype kid. Yeah, I know. I keep taking you down little rabbit holes of South American wonder kids. There's another one. We've been linked, and he's really good, and I'm excited, and I shouldn't be because there's not enough in it yet, but he is incredible. So he is 18 years old. We don't have a lot on this, but I've got it written down. He is 6 foot, so he's not small. He's pretty tall for his age. 6 foot. He's about 11, 12 stone, 165 pounds. He plays centre forward, attacking midfield, predominantly a lot more on the left, favors the left a bit more. He is right-footed, and he's a bit of a strange player in that he can drop deep. He's got a lot of completed long balls for somebody who plays centre forward for Flamengo at the moment. He's always getting like 4 or 5 completed long balls a game, which is bizarre, but it works.
So he switches the play well, Alex.
He really does. He drops deep. He sees the picture and he'll release somebody down a wing or he'll float a ball over the top. I mean, if you want a discount version of just sort of how he plays, you can just YouTube some highlights of him. It doesn't give you a great picture of everything, but it gives you at least a bit of flavor as to how he plays. And if we scroll down, so this is his peers. So presumably these are teams in the South American leagues and the Brazilian Serie A, I would imagine. And considering how dribbly they are, he's very dribbly. He's dribbling all over the floor with top 3% dribbles completed.
That sounds nice.
This is insane for somebody who's 18 years old. Because let's not forget, this is against people of all ages. So this is comparing him to all the men's league. The sample size is only 700 minutes, so you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. But nonetheless, 3 shots a game is great. Passes aren't too bad considering where he plays on the pitch. You know, a 75% pass completion rate for somebody who's a striker and is constantly trying to create things. They're always playing the dangerous pass. Progressive passes is insane as well. That kind of backs up the fact that he does drop quite deep. So excludes passes from the defending 40% of the pitch. So yeah, he'll basically pick it up on the halfway line or in front of the halfway line and release people. That's why he's in the top 1% for that. Tackles is also phenomenal. If you go and watch some highlight reels of him, whenever you go and watch these wonder kids, most of the highlight reels are about their tricks and goals. Half of this kid's highlight reels are him tracking back and winning the ball, and he's just playing as a striker. And it makes for a lot of logical reading as to why he's in the top 1% of tackles. And I thought this was quite an interesting comparison. Somebody who we were linked with heavily, his closest stat match is Gonçalo Ramos, the Benfica striker, who we were quite keen on in the summer. That never came about, but quite curious.
Well, it never came about. Match. It may well come about, but who knows?
Yeah, and also got Taremi from the Iranian team, which I remember people said he was quite good. So I think did he score against England? I think he was one of the ones that scored against England. If we go and have a look at his here he is. We've actually got a picture now. Although he looks different in every photo because he's one of these Brazilians that will dye his hair blonde every few months and then go back to normal and then dye it blonde.
I know a couple of Brazilians who do that, Alex.
I know it seems to be a running theme.
Yeah.
So here's Agents Life Pro. I had a little look. The only players that we really know are the old Man United fullback twins. The what are they called again? Rafael and the other one. The two twins. So apart from those brothers, they don't really represent anybody too amazing. So we can scroll down and see. So he's contracted until May 2027. So he's got quite a fat contract there. Currently, the market value is 4 million euros, but that don't mean jack. If English money comes a knocking or Spanish money comes a knocking on to the Brazilian clubs, they will quadruple whatever that is straight away, and they will put things in place to maybe retain the player for X amount of seasons because of visas and so we're going to have a look at Flamengo. So a lot of you will be familiar with a few players from Flamengo. They do have Arturo Vidal, who spent a lot of years in Europe. They also have Felipe Luis, who was at Chelsea, Atletico Madrid as well. And they also have David Luiz of Chelsea, who's not managed to break into the top 10 ratings for some reason. Funny that.
Strange that, isn't it?
So we'll have a look. They're not on a very good run of form at the moment, bless them. But if we're going to have a look at some recent games where he's played in them, I will zoom in a minute. And we scroll down to Flamengo's lineup. So they've played a bit of a rotated team here, very rotated team, but they've got him up front. Let's click on his stats. So 4-3-3 with him leading the line. And we'll scroll over. So there's his heat map. A little bit funny there. Lots of just stood in the center for a while. I'm not sure why it's like that. Played 75 minutes. Got quite a good XG rating. A number of shots. Very tidy with his passes. 21 out of 23. And now you'll start to see what I mean about the long balls. If you go and have a look at all of his stats and go and watch a couple of games or some highlights, he's always sort of drops a bit deep, plays 2, 3, 4 balls over the top. Very competent at doing that. 2 out of 2 aerial duels. He's very physical for his age, as we said. 6 foot, quite strong.
Yep.
Very good with his dribbling as well. What's he got in this game? 2 out of 4. So yeah, not bad. If we, it won't let me scroll across. Let me scroll. There we go.
Oh, well, I think the same happened to Alex as what happened to me yesterday, is that basically he scrolled a bit too far and he's been thrown out of StreamYard, which tends to happen from time to time with us here on the Toon Review, as you well know. It happened to me yesterday. I scrolled too far and it threw me out of StreamYard. And Alex, I take it that's what happened to you just right there.
I did. I scrolled so hard, it just chucked me out of StreamYard.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Just one of those things. There you go.
All right, never mind. We shall try again. SofaScore is not playing ball today. Right, lineups. There we go. Scroll down. Is that not that is a different game? So there you go. There's Arturo Vidal in midfield. So there's a familiar name. So a 7.1 in this game. So we'll scroll down and have a little look. Heat map is very odd. Spent a lot of time sort of down in this Trippier position for some reason. Played 90 minutes, 3 shots off target, 1 blocked, got a successful dribble, very tidy with his passes again, 21 out of 26 with 2 key passes, 3 out of 3 long balls again. See what I mean? Every game, he just dropped, ping it over, considering he's playing as a centre forward. Reasonably good with his duels for his age. And yeah, it's there's not really much else to show you other than at the moment.
I think I do. I think he's somebody that we can definitely make use from, and certainly you have to consider who our manager is and what he can get out of these players now. Is Eddie Howe is very capable of bringing these players up to the next level and even further.
Well, he's only just joined the team, the senior team recently. 4 goals. He's played a lot of minutes for the Flamengo under 20s and all the different age levels. So when you do go and watch highlights of him, you might get confused by the shirt numbers. In some of them, he's wearing 7. Some of them he's wearing 10. He's currently got the number 42. So it will completely change. So any of the highlights you see with the number 42 is sort of the more recent versions of him. But some of the youth clips of him from when he's wearing the number 7 and 10 are outrageous. Some of the stuff he does. Very Bruno-y, where people will run at him and he'll just dink it over and just keep going. And they'll all swarm him, just dink, and just keeps going. He's very technical. Very, very technical for his age as well.
Well,
I'm on the bandwagon for this. I want a Brazilian wonder kid in the squad.
Yeah, so you can tell. You can tell. Gakpo is officially a Liverpool player, so there you go. That seems to be confirmed now that Gakpo has joined Liverpool. But there you go, guys. That is the transfer show for tonight. Now, of course, there will be many, many more to come with January kicking off and the window opening wide on Sunday, of course, with it being New Year's Day. I don't expect anybody to sign on Sunday, but you never know. If this Harrison Ashby deal has been done with West Ham, maybe he will be first through the door. But it is going to be a very exciting time throughout January, of course. And don't forget, we will be doing a whole live screen on deadline day as well, like we did last summer. That will, of course, be, a charity event as well. So any super chats that we make from that, the whole day, will go to charity for that one, as we did with the summer window. So we have all that to look forward to as well. Tomorrow night, we have the Newcastle United versus Leeds United preview. So join me, Alex and Billy, for that one. Billy is studying hard, looking at Leeds United tonight, and come back to us with what he thought of them. Should be a cracking game on Saturday at St James's. It'll be good to be back there and seeing some Premier League football again, and hopefully another fantastic display. So join us for that at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Friday, we have TTR Friday New Year special this time. Hopefully we will have some clips of some shows during the year that have made us laugh. Yes, Alex, Mach and Lacquer will definitely be one of those clips. I've seen Susan already have that one up on our screen today, so that one will be there. So we're expecting a very funny night.
I'm surprised that's not your message tone on your phone, to be honest.
Well, you never know. It may well be in future, Alex. But whatever happens, Friday night's going to be a really good laugh. So join us at 8 o'clock for that. And then Billy's with you from 2:30 on Saturday afternoon for live commentary of the game against Leeds from St James's Park. So those are the shows that are coming up. Again, keep your eye open for any videos that we bring out during the day if there's any news breaks from St James's Park. But thank you to everybody that's watched tonight. Before you leave, please do hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also the notification bell. And thank you to the Mod Squad, as usual. Brilliant job. Thank you to Alex. And we will see you tomorrow night for the Leeds United preview. Don't miss it. We'll see you at 8 p.m. Good night.